With respect to agriculture, India is presently in its third phase. That means two phases have already come before and we are in the third phase. But one thing to be remembered over here is that it's not like first phase is over so we are not working towards it, or second phase is over so we are not working towards it. Rather, it is a case wherein even though we are in the third phase, the first and the second phase have to be continuously followed over and over again, year on year. So let us understand what these phases are and then we will dive into today's topic. So these phases which India has with respect to agriculture are three. Phase 1 was the phase of physical excess. The phase of physical excess, wherein India wanted to produce as much as it is required by its citizens in order to satisfy the hunger. This phase started immediately after we fought and achieved independence. We, using the term got independence may not be correct. We have fought for it and we have achieved it. So in your answers also probably you can use these terminologies. Anyway, coming back to this. So this was the first phase, that is the physical excess, being able to produce as much as we want, as much as is required. Now this phase started in the 1950s. The entire 1950 decade we were not able to achieve this. The 1960 decade almost entirely we were not able to achieve it. But then came Green Revolution, and with the help of that physical excess was achieved. But you need to understand this, it's not that if we achieve physical excess of food grains in 1 year, that does not mean we don't have to work in the coming years. Till there is, because the need will be forever. So you have to keep on working every single year. So even now this phase 1 is going on because physical excess needs to be achieved year on year. I hope this is absolutely clear. Now we may have different challenges for achieving this. The challenges would be, for example, El Nino. The El Nino effect reduces the rainfall because of which the productivity of agriculture reduces, because almost 50% is rain-fed agriculture, so on and so forth. Now, even though we had achieved physical excess, there was still an issue. Still people were not getting food. Why? Because let's say in a classroom of 40 people, we need, let's say, 400 kg of rice every month. And we are able to produce those 400 kg of rice. But it is possible that some of the people in the class, they do not have money to purchase these food grains. So if they don't have money, then even though the food is there, they cannot eat, they will still be hungry. That's when we started working on the phase 2, that is economic excess. Economic excess. Now this also needs to be done year on year, and one big scheme which came for this was National Food Security Act, which caters to approximately 66% of the Indian population, with the help of which to an extent we have achieved economic excess. Now having achieved the two most important excess, now we are in phase 3, wherein we are talking about the ecological excess. Ecological excess, which is actually related to sustainable agriculture. Ecological excess will consist of organic agriculture, sustainable agriculture, wherein we are producing in a manner that is not hampering the capability of the future generation to produce for themselves. That's one thing. Secondly, not harming the environment, doing in harmony with the environment. Now, understand that this particular thing is something we need to take care of. If this was not needed to be taken care of, we can randomly do whatever we want, however we want to produce, and we may not require much cost. But since you have to take care of this is an additional precaution that you have to take care. If there is an additional precaution that you have to take care, you will require some additional finance. See, finance would be required still when you do agriculture, but specifically if you are doing sustainable agriculture, it may make it tad bit complex and tad bit more difficult to do it, and hence an additional finance would be required, and that is what is an issue as per RBI. And the topic we'll do today is the highlighting of the issue by the RBI. Issue of what? Issue of financing for sustainable agriculture. So RBI has mentioned that there is an issue, RBI has highlighted that there is an issue in financing for sustainable agriculture. So let's see what it is all about. Sustainable agriculture simply is what? It is what basically being able to produce the food without hampering the capacity of the future generation to produce the food, and do it in harmony with the environment without hampering the soil fertility, the environment, etc. Now it is of course essential for food security also, because it is not just the food security of this year but also in the coming years. So if you hamper the soil, tomorrow you may not get food even though you are getting it today. So it is important for food security. It is important for combating climate changes, right? Less carbon footprint would help to combat climate change, so on and so forth, and preserving of course natural resources. But what is the issue? Financing of sustainable agriculture remains a challenge. You would need that additional amount of money, which is still a challenge, and that has been highlighted by RBI in the recently held International Conference on Sustainable Financing for Food Security and Farm Income. Okay. Now, what is the exact issue that is highlighted? See, RBI has also, pointed out that there is regional disparity. Look at the regional disparity. Share of southern region is 47.13%, almost half of the entire country, and that of northeastern region is just 0.76. Now, we do understand the land in the northeastern region may be less, so the percentage would still automatically be less using unitary method, but it is too less. And the southern region does not have complete 50% of the land. It has lesser land, but look at it. It has almost 50% of the share. So it's a loop-sided approach which needs to be even more even than what it is presently. Now, there is an issue of credit. Approximately 23% of the credit is from non-institutional sources. And important point out of this is, this 23% non-institutional credit majorly would be taken by the small and marginal farmers, making it even worse because they are not able to pay it because the rates are quite high. Then you have non-integrated value chain financing. What does this mean? This means that there is no integration of supply chain management or value chain. You produce something, its value could have been enhanced by let's say processing of it or adding value to it through a processing unit. There needs to be a network for easy transport, easy logistics, so as to sell it off easily, quickly, especially when it is a perishable item, so on and so forth. But that does not exist due to issues such as fragmentation of land holdings. This is also important. Fragmentation of land holding, what it does is, instead of having big huge land, I have a small land. So let's say hiring a tempo for it, hiring a tractor for it, even taking it on rent or buying it will not give me economy of scale, as a result of which I will not mechanize my farm, I will not use tractors, it will be difficult for me to find logistics, so on and so forth. So that is also one of the issue. What other issues are? The other issues include high cost of finance, because a high percentage is non-institutional. Lack of collateral. If I am going to take a loan, what collateral do I use? So we need non-collateral loans. And complicated procedures of sustainable agriculture. You need to have a proper understanding of sustainable agriculture. That will then make it easy. Without the understanding, it will look even more complicated. So now coming to the point, what is sustainable agriculture? Basically, sustainable agriculture will focus on farm practices that maintain environmental health. It maintains the environmental health. It does not restrict itself to the environment, but also shows that your agriculture should also be economically viable as well. Because remember, in that international meeting which RBI highlighted this point, it was not just about sustainable agriculture but farm income also. So economically also, the entire concept of sustainable agriculture will also have sustainable amount of income in it. So ensure economic viability. If economic viability of sustainable agriculture is not there, then people would not want to follow it. So it has to be there. and support social equity. It should not happen that the rich becoming richer, poor becoming poorer. Rich becoming richer is fine, but along with that, poor should not become poorer. They should also become less poor and rich, and then subsequently richer as well. So it aims to produce food in a way that preserve resources, reduce pollution, and support local communities. Preserve resources, less intense resources are required. Reduce the pollution, less carbon footprint would be there. Support local communities for a long term, right? Again, with respect to monetary support as well. So what can be the solutions over here? It talks about increased role of collectives. Increased role of collectives such as FPOs and FPCs, that is farmer producer organizations and farmer producer companies. What are these farmer producer organizations and companies? These are companies of a group of farmers or organizations of a group of farmers who support each other financially, knowledge based, awareness based, so on and so forth. So it is like a community farming that is happening. You have a support of your peers in that, which is of a great help. Then value chain financing, by integrating various stakeholders, the stakeholders in logistics, the wholesalers, the retailers. If everyone is linked, the process would be smoother. Warehouse financing also to stabilize the prices of agriculture commodities. Warehousing financing. Now warehouses, storage houses is very important. Especially you can give example of refrigerated storage for certain perishable items is also very important to avoid wastages as well. Right. Apart from that, adoption of finance technology to financing technology as well as financial inclusion, which will help people to take loan. When they can take loan, they can expand irrigation infrastructure. If they don't have it, they can initiate it. They themselves can have it. Right. Promote micro irrigation. In irrigation also, specifically micro irrigation, it is the concept of more crop per drop. That's the concept of micro irrigation, because it provides water at exactly how much is required and directly to that particular plant's root. So there is as good as no wastage. Then of course capital formation should be there through convergence of government scheme and interest subventions. Capital formation of capital assets, capital formation, liquidity should be there in that market with the help of government schemes and interest subventions. Interest subvention means, you get loans for agriculture at a lower interest rate because some interest is paid by from the government side. Then finally, leveraging the technology and data driven insights to enhance financing model. So data driven insights with respect to financing models also, not just with respect to which crop should be grown, but also financing model, which financing model suits better, so spreading that more than the other one. Example, collaboration with digital platform to track crop yield. This is one of the use of technology. This fastens the process of insurance also. When the digital platform is used to track crop yields, when you don't get enough crops and you are applying for insurance, you have applied for insurance, you are applying to claim it now. So you can simply take a picture, it is geotagged, it is tracked throughout, and now the evidence is right there in front of you. So the premium would also, you are paying the premium, whatever is required as per the scheme. So the claim would also be fast. Faster claim will ensure that the farmer can now move to the next crop and stop worrying about it and stop worrying about the money, because the insurance money claim would be faster. So these are the things that could be incorporated in order to ensure that the financing issue of sustainable agriculture is addressed and we become successful in our third phase of economic access as well. Thank you.